My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is October 30th, 2024. It is 4:05 a.m. I just finished edit whatever I recorded yesterday. I did two videos. The first one had two parts, but the second part was all politics, and I just finished edited and I create a list, and it's mostly politics. The first one is about Boris. Okay, so that's UK politics, and then the rest pretty much are just US politics. Okay, I think I have the Boris one open, but let me grab the link just in case. So let's look at the background. 4,452 subscribers, new subscribers welcome. Estimate revenue $119.90. There were some tweets that I was seeing yesterday that had to do with bots and suppression of information. I need to grab those tweets to share with you. I need to find them and make another video about it, because that reflects on some of the things that I be sharing with you and the purpose of me sharing the background of my channel, because it seems like there's a concerted effort to suppress information and all of that. So I need to look for those tweets to share with you. I hope I like them so I could go back to my folder. Okay, analytics. So stay tuned for that. I hope I found it and I hope I remember to do that. Okay, there's the numbers here. 429 views in the last 48 hours. So let's go on Twitter. Okay, this I just share it on my community board on PYTE. Alright, so let's put the first tweet. That's Boris. It's a video. There will be screenshot. Tara Brown, quote, our former Prime Minister Paul Keating described the AUKUS Pact as the worst deal in all history. So, who is AUKUS? Let me look. Is that, what country is that? Is that from Australia? Let me pause for a second and look. No, I meant to look for former Prime Minister. Former Prime Minister, let's look. Paul Keating. That's the one. Okay, so that's from Australia. Paul Keating, born January 18, 1944, is an Australian former politician who served as the 24th Prime Minister of Australia from 1991 to 1996. Okay, so that's Australia. All right, so let's start all over. Tara Brown, our former Prime Minister Paul Keating described the AUKUS Pact as the worst deal in all history. He said the UK is looking around for suckers to create global Britain after the fool Johnson destroyed their place in Europe. But due to misinformation, but the people voted for it. And they were so proud of it. And there was a concerted effort. There was this mindset where, you know, we move the same mindset as Donald Trump, okay? Same thing, because I used to compare them at that time, the same tactic that was going on. You know, push immigrant out, do the, what's that deal that they made with that African country? What was it? Where they send, you know, black and brown immigrants to, what's the place in Africa? Rwanda, the Rwanda deal and all of that. I spoke.
Mr. Speaker, let me return to the Rwanda Migration and Economic Development Partnership. So 2.5 years after the previous government launched it, I can report it has already cost the British taxpayer £700 million in order to send just 4 volunteers. Those costs include £290 million payments to Rwanda, chartering flights that never took off, detaining hundreds of people and then releasing them, and paying for more than 1,000 civil servants to work on the scheme. A scheme to send 4 people. It is the most shocking waste of taxpayers' money I have ever seen. Looking forward, the costs are set to get worse. Even if the scheme had ever got going, it's clear it would only cover a minority of arrivals. Yet a substantial portion of future costs were fixed costs. For example, the annual direct payments to Rwanda, the contracts for escorts, the staffing in the Home Office, the detention and reception centres, and more. So the taxpayer would still have to pay out no matter how few people were relocated. And most shocking of all, over the 6 years of the Migration and Economic Development Partnership forecast, the previous government had planned to spend over £10 billion of taxpayers' money on the scheme. They did not tell Parliament that. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Rwandan government for working with the UK in good faith, because the failure for this policy lies with the previous UK government. It has been a costly con, and the taxpayer has had to pay the price.
So the UK, due to misinformation and their core sort of racism, wanted that. And then once they get the result of it, where, for instance, I think I highlight what was going on in Spain, because there's this area in Spain where majority of Brits stays, and they can't do some of the things that they used to do due to the fact that they removed themselves from the EU, and they forgot to think, okay, I'm in an EU country, which is Spain. Why will I vote against that? This is the same MAGA mindset, voting against their best interest. And then when they were doing it, they were so proud of it. They flaunted all over, to make it seem like it was the best thing that the country did. So now they're seeing the consequences of it. And let me not go too deep into it. All right, Boris Johnson, there's the quote here. Is this? Well, I think he's wrong. Okay, the thing is that at the time, they prop it up. This is the thing with the UK. When they're doing that thing, they shout it at the rooftop, make everybody pay attention to it, and they make it sound so good. And I did talk about it to a certain extent. And I said, if they had followed through, but their greed take best of them, if they had followed through, whatever it is that they sold to the people, if they had followed through with it and focused on it, maybe it could have worked, maybe. But when the people give them that much of a power and they see the endless of nonsense they could do, so they put things in their pocket and then they left the people out. That's the way that I saw it. Okay, but let's listen. It's 20 seconds.
Our former Prime Minister Paul Keating describes the AUKUS Pact as the worst deal in all history. He said the UK is looking around for suckers to create global Britain after that fool Johnson destroyed their place in Europe.
When she said fool, she looked at the thing. I think it was right there. And then she gave him a smile somewhere here. Like right here. After she said fool Johnson destroyed their place in Europe, especially I think after she said fool, she raised her eyes to look at Johnson.
Fool Johnson destroyed their place in Europe.
And there's the smack.
Is this? Well, I think he's wrong.
Our former.
Yeah, the thing is that they stay in their little bubble. It's the bubble that they love to listen to themselves. And people around them cheer them up with the same BS. And then they believe it. And then they forgot to get their head outside of the bubble to see what other people were thinking or seeing or whatever. But they go with their bubble, and then now they're seeing the effect of it. All right, let me read some of the comments and then move on. Wow, maybe I might be able to watch this interview after all. Still reluctant even to hear his voice, though. It's in my head. This was the best bit, okay? I've clipped other segment. some of which are refreshing to hear and others are extremely infuriating. Why doesn't he get questioned this way by British journalists? That's the bubble that I'm saying. They stay in their bubble, lie to the people, and they're trying to do the same thing in the US. They send their nonsense in the US. And one of the videos, did I say it in the video? No, I think I wrote it on my community board, is that the nonsense that they sent over here, and mainstream media, all sort of communication, newspapers, we have with Bezos, who's not, endorsing whoever if the paper felt like it should endorse. I think some of the journalists who writes for Bezos' paper, Washington Post, wanted to end. That and also LA Time, I think. These newspapers, the journalists wanted to, endorse Kamala Harris, but the owners don't want the papers to endorse anybody. Okay? So these have been hijacked. When I take a peek at the comment, or not peek, the screenshot about Maxwell, where they have all walks of life, and I think about 15, a little bit more than 1,000 Americans on Maxwell blacklist, or black book, I should say. All right, they have politicians, they have business people, they have actors, you name it, on the list. So they are being framed in some shape or form, or they are agreement with Trump. All right, so they're forcing these people to be on Trump's side, or they, of their free will, want to be on Trump's side. But what is happening is that the American people, individuals, are taking it upon themselves, like myself. You see the things that I share with you on my channel, and I'm being punished for it. And they don't say it to me, but you could see the hint where they want to shift. They want me to shift to a certain angle other than what I want to share with you. I'm not saying I'm 100% right of everything that I said, but I try my best to share with you the honest truth, and I'll say my opinion, or allegedly, or I take screenshot that sort of, somewhat back up some of the thing that I'm saying. But YouTube be doing certain things. It's very hard to say if, they shift the channel, they want me to shift my channel a different way. You see the suppression, you see the amount that I share with you at the beginning of the video, how much I'm making, even though I have a video every day, and my subscription is growing, and you don't see as many views. I understand there are people who not about politics, but I've told everybody that, pretty much I'm about almost everything as long as it makes sense and it's worth sharing. But Americans are taking it upon themselves to educate themselves about the issues that we are voting for. And then let's just say as well, Trump is sort of helping because of his stupidity. People who didn't care before, but the nonsense that he's saying are pushing people to vote against him. All right? So let's leave that as that. That's done with UK. That's the only thing that I have for UK. Let's go to the next one. I believe it's a thread of Kamala Harris' speech that he did in Washington. I think it's the same site where Trump did his rally. Okay, so it's sort of rallying up the American people, and there were a lot of people. So this is a thread. I might have several parts on this video. Unlike the Madison Square Garden thing that Trump did, I didn't even bother. I did sort of show it to you, but I didn't even bother going to it because the key points have been already highlighted, and I do not want to hear his nonsense. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put together a thread covering Kamala Harris' big closing argument, ellipse speech. Follow along for clips and commentary. All right, so that's a screenshot. Okay, so there's this. This is where it began here. Let's pause. There will be a screenshot because YouTube gives me a big issue with videos. Kamala chant right off the bat. All right, 12 seconds.
Our busy lives.
Wow. Okay, it's playing over. Kamala Harris, it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. This election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division. On my last video that I was just sharing with you, there was, I don't remember which state, they put fire on where you drop off your ballots and stuff like that. And then I remember watching while I was at the gym, I was listening to Rachel Maddow, who sort of highlighted. I'll show you the Rachel Maddow video that was discussing about the burning of the ballot box that I forgot which state, but the part that I have, I'll share it with you. It's from Rachel Maddow. Burning ballots, and they cannot contact certain people. It seems like only 3 of the ballots were really messed up, and they sort of give a time frame of people who drop off their ballots at a certain time and to contact the election board or wherever they get their ballot so they could do it over again. But they gathered the burnt ballot.
We should also expect that sometimes the goal will just be chaos, so nobody has trust in the result. Chaos and upset. That anger and dread you felt when you saw the headlines today and you saw these images today of burning ballots, the ballot drop boxes that were set on fire in Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. In Vancouver, Washington, hundreds of ballots were destroyed. In Portland, Oregon, interestingly, they think only 3 ballots were destroyed, and that's because they'd installed a fire suppressant system inside that Portland ballot drop box, and thank God they had. Again, only 3 ballots considered to be damaged in the Portland firebombing of a ballot drop box. They've been able, they say, to contact the 3 voters whose ballots were damaged in Portland. In Vancouver, where they believe it was hundreds of ballots destroyed, they're advising that people who put their ballots in that particular box that burned, people who put their ballots in sometime after 11 a.m. on Saturday, that was the last time it was empty before the fire, people who may have used that ballot box in Vancouver, Washington are being asked to contact the local elections department to get replacement ballots. Portland police say they think the 2 fires are connected. They say they caught a suspect vehicle on surveillance footage, and they're pursuing that lead. The FBI is investigating both of these as well. We shouldn't have to deal with what everyone is expecting to be a plan to subvert the election, to try to flip the result if the Democratic candidate wins. We shouldn't have to deal with efforts to stop the election, right? To burn ballots, to make us believe that there's no real knowable result. We shouldn't have to, but in the Trump era, we do.
But these people are trying to, to cheat. They see they're losing. The thing that they were hoping to get, and you see Trump freely saying nonsense after nonsense because he has a plan to, I don't know, in my humble opinion, to steal the election. And he has these people to do the damages for him. All right, but let's listen. This is exactly a minute.
And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between 2 parties and 2 different candidates.
Some people might say, why will I say this? But in my humble opinion, I truly believe we do need that 2-party system. Why? Because I could see, the Republicans have ruined, Trump has ruined the Republican Party. I could see some Republican who still has the mindset, the craziness of Trump, jump into the Democratic Party to do the same thing and ruin it. Let's just leave it as that, but let's continue.
It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division.
Freedom.
Many of you watching have probably already cast your ballots. others are still considering who to vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election.
All right.
And it will
So you guys could go and search for the entire thing, but I'm just gonna share what this person put here on the thread. America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who's asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Well, he said if he gets in, that will be your last time to vote. And he will be a dictator for 1 day. And you know, dictators don't usually give back their powers. So he pretty much telling us what he planned on doing. Harris pointed out that 4 years ago, Trump stood at that spot and incited an attack on democracy itself. Okay, 1 minute and 24 seconds.
Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president.
Wow.
And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his.
That's sad. Right? Harris laid out Trump's authoritarian design and intention to use the military against the enemy within, and they say that is not who we are. Okay, 1 minute and 24 seconds.
And Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He says that one of his highest priorities is to set free the violent extremists who insulted those law enforcement officers on January 6th. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him.
Like I said in past videos, and I've shared with you 2 movies. What do you call this? Olympus Fallen. And I saw as if this was playing out in front of me. It was within. But Trump knows it. He knows there's the enemy within. But he's pointing out someone else, but he's pretty much the one. But let's continue.
He calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed
that's a lot of
with
people.
revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are.
That's powerful. Okay, Kamala Harris, let's pause again. Kamala Harris, America, for too long we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust, and it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. What was the screenshot that I have, or thumbnails that I have for one of the videos that I did back in 2020 after the election? Who Saved America? And I think I call it divided we will fall and fail. And I said Black, Hispanic, Native American. That was the 3 pictures that I put. Random people, but some of them are very recognizable. I think it's the Native American that was random one. And within the video, and I think I said other minority group that literally put democracy on a string. Put democracy on a string because majority of good, well-minded Americans were so blind. They didn't see what was happening. And I hope now they are seeing, there are a lot of MAGAs, okay, who are seeing the truth now because, why? The mainstream media has been hijacked. They do not tell what's happening, the truth. For them to see the truth, they were acting and behaving on the nonsense, the chaos, the misinformation that was given to them. And they don't have the mindset to step outside of it, to go look for or confirm some of the things that were being said to them. When Trump was saying there were violence going at the border of, I think, somewhere in Texas or something, some of them travel miles to go to the border to see, to help out, to defend their country. When they got there, there was nothing. There was nothing. But you don't hear the news media telling that, saying any of that. And I hope, this is sad. I hope after this election, we straighten things out with the news outlet. Okay? And this is what's good. Different American, let's say like Midas Touch, my channel, I know I don't go too deep on a lot of important issues, but every now and then I share some stuff with you. But there are other channels that literally are shedding light to the nonsense that's going on, to debunk every lies that is being spewed out there to blind the American people. So every Americans who have good intention and some bad intention too, all right, taking up on themselves to shed light on the misinformation. All right, and let's just hope the people who are matter, the one who will be going at the voting booth, see the truth. All right, let the blind see. All right, next one, Kamala Harris. On day 1, Donald Trump will walk into that office with an enemy list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list. Okay, 45 seconds.
So look, in less than 90 days, either Donald Trump or I will be in the Oval Office. Okay?
That's a fact. Either one of them is up to us.
On day one, and on day one, if elected, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list. I will get done for the American people. So look.
All right, let's go to the next one. We're not going back, chant. Let's pause. We're not going back, chant. After Harris brings up Trump's long history of trying to repeal the ACA. 38 seconds.
You will pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and repeals the Affordable Care Act, which would throw millions of Americans off their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back. We are not going back.
All right.
You will pay.
Okay, let's pause again. This one is one of the longest. Key part of the speech here as Kamala Harris takes through her policy priorities. 3 minutes and 37 seconds.
We're not going back because we also know Donald Trump would deliver tax cuts to his billionaire donors. I will deliver tax cuts to working people and the middle class. will make sure you have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because
keep in mind, I have to keep on repeating this. If she does elected as president, she will not be a dictator. Some of the things that she's saying, she cannot do them without the Senate and the House of Representatives. You have to vote for people who are aligned with her ideal, with her to-do list, like she said. Okay? So both the House and the Senate needs to be in complete agreement before they send the bill to her desk. And if she's in agreement with it and she agree with the bill, which will become law, then that's where her signature will go into it. And be prepared. And I've said this before. Let's not make the same mistake as when President Obama was in office. We gave him the House and the Senate and the presidency, all three branches. Were his. Well, two, not three, because the Supreme Court is a different branch. Okay, we gave President Obama the presidency, and we gave him the House and the Senate. That's how the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, was able to pass, because Democrat and some Republican, I think, were in agreement with it and signed it. And then this is where we have to blame ourselves for it. Come midterm election, people did not go and vote. And what happened? The Republican took over, and then we've been downhill ever since. And you see, Trump is trying to get back in again. And we put a pause to it when Biden got elected. We need to continue that momentum and continue to vote in every election. So if Kamala becomes president, we need to back her up in every chance that we can. We're not going to be agreement with her all the time, because there are tough decisions that needs to be made. People need to understand that. But we already know the majority of Republicans are not in the best interest of all Americans. They are in a... You see what's going on with Trump, so I don't need to say anymore. Let's continue.
I believe in honoring the dignity of work. I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries. Cap the price of insulin and limit out-of-pocket prescription costs for all Americans.
If you go search for the entire speech, and I believe there were speakers prior to her coming in, I started watching it and I think I fell asleep. There was this mom who spoke about her experience, how ACA helped her with her child and things like that, the Affordable Care Act. So go watch the entire thing. So there were some really good speakers at the beginning. All right.
I will fight to make sure that hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. I'll never forget how our mother saved up and how excited she was when she could finally afford to buy our first home. I remember how excited she was. And I know that owning a home is not only a measure of financial security, it's about the pride of your hard work. And as president, I will fight to help first-time home buyers with your down payment, take on the companies that are jacking up rents, and build millions of new homes. For years, we have heard excuses about why America can't build enough housing. Enough with the excuses. I'm going to cut the red tape and work with the private sector and local governments to speed up building and get it done. And the cost of housing isn't the only financial pressure on middle-class families. I've met so many young people who have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources to do it. So I'll fight for a child tax credit to save them some money, which which will also lift American children out of poverty.
As I'm listening to this,
Work to lower
I'm thinking how, the Republicans will try to undermine all of her work the same way they did to Obama. Okay, we have experience, we have a blueprint already of what happened with President Obama.
cost of childcare, which is out of reach for too many working families today. And for too many people in the sandwich generation who are raising young children and taking care of a parent, juggling all of it is extremely difficult. I took care of my mother when she got sick, cooking food that she had a taste for, finding clothes that would not irritate her skin. And understand, as I do, that caregiving is about dignity. It is about dignity. And currently, if you need home care and you don't have some money to hire someone, you and your family need to deplete your savings to qualify for help. That's just not right. So we're going to change the approach and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home care so seniors can get the help and care they need in their own homes.
All right, that was good. Let's pause this one. Kamala Harris outlines her reproductive rights policy priorities. 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
Now, Donald Trump has a different approach. He tried to cut Medicare and Social Security every year he was president. Look, I believe that when people have worked hard their entire life, they deserve to retire with the benefits they have earned. And I believe in the fundamental freedom of Americans to make decisions about their own bodies and not have their government tell them what to do. I will fight to restore what Donald Trump and his hand-selected Supreme Court justices took away from the women of America. Today, 1 in 3 women in America, think about it, 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions even for rape and incest. The idea that a woman who survives a crime of a violation to her body should not have the authority to make a decision about what happens to her body next, that is immoral. That is immoral, and Trump's not done. He would ban abortion nationwide, restrict access to birth control and put IVF treatments at risk, and force states to monitor women's pregnancies.
That's crazy.
Just Google Project 2025 and read the plans for yourself. And look, I think we all know one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to simply agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. Not the government. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly.
That's right. Congress has to do it, not her. I don't know. Maybe she could pardon. The only thing I think she could do is pardon. How do you call this? Pardon doctors to, if someone's life is at risk, to pardon them to do the work. I don't know. But let's see here. 32 seconds. Kamala Harris, politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes and an election. 32 seconds.
And look, on another subject, politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. And instead, treat it as the serious challenge that it is that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed.
Yeah.
And look, on another
Okay, it's
subject,
playing again. Okay, Kamala Harris, pause again. World leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark, easy to manipulate with flattery or favor. And you can believe that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. 42 seconds.
look, world leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark. Easy to manipulate with flattery or favor.
Mark Cuban
And
has
you
said
can
something
believe
similar.
that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. I will always uphold our security, advance our national interest, and ensure that the United States of America remains, as we must forever be, a champion of liberty around the world.
Alright, it's playing over.
Look,
Let's pause. Let me see how many more. 2. 1, 2, 3. So it's almost done. Alright, there's that here. Kamala Harris. Pause. Alright, Kamala Harris. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. Alright, let's listen. 47 seconds.
unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. And to always put country above party and self. Unlike Donald
listen.
Trump,
Alright, let's pause this. We are not a vessel for the scheme of wannabe dictators. The United States of America is the greatest idea humanity ever devised. That was a really strong speech from Kamala Harris. Here's how she brought it home. 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
I see it in the women who refuse to accept a future without reproductive freedom. And the men who support them. I see it in Republicans who have never voted for a Democrat before, but have put the Constitution of the United States over party. I've seen it in Americans different in many respects, but united in our pursuit of freedom, our belief in fairness and decency, and our faith in a better future. America, I know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. I know it. And that's why I am in this race, to fight for the people, just like I always have. Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, the patriots at Normandy and Selma,
Wow.
Seneca Falls and Stonewall, on farmlands and factory floors. They did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms. They didn't do that only to see us submit to the will of another petty tyrant.
That's strong. I like that.
These United States of America, we are not a vessel for the schemes of wannabe dictators. The United States of America is the greatest idea humanity ever devised. A nation big enough to encompass all our dreams, strong enough to withstand any fracture or fissure between us, and fearless enough to imagine a future of possibilities. So America, let us reach for that future. Let us fight for this beautiful country we love. And in 7 days, we have the power, each of you has the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. I thank you all. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
This is the thing. I never hear Trump said, God bless America, and things like that. And I remember some of my old videos when I started talking about things that I see happening in the US. And I've always brought up, past soldiers who sign up in the dotted line to say, I'm gonna sign up again to defend democracy. I'm like, some of them didn't even come home. What will they say if they were alive to see the nonsense that Trump is doing? And then when it was time for him to defend America, he gave excuses. All right, let's see here. That's it for Kamala Harris' ellipse speech. If you appreciate me bringing, okay, he's promoting himself here, his stuff, that's that. I don't want to see this. Our next president, we're going to have to fight for it. All right, the thread for VP Harris are so much more pleasant than the tangerine. Thanks, Aaron, for all you do. Yeah, I don't follow your Trump's Valley thread. I could care less about him. All right, so there's that. Okay, so there's more comment. There's one video, a tweet that I saw, and I think it's fitted for this. And I have another video for Kamala Harris, but it crossed my mind. I saw this. I had it all the way at the bottom of the list, but I think it's best to put it here. Oh my goodness, I can't get over this photo. This little kid is why we are fighting and who we are doing it for. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, we are doing it for every other child and their future. We are doing this because we want every kid out there to see someone like them in office. We are doing it because we want to empower the next generation to see their full potential. Let's keep going. 7 more days left. Okay. All gas, no brakes. Today was amazing. But we've got 6 more days left to take this across this finish line. And we will go to, there's the link here, KamalaHarris.com, to take action anywhere near you. Knock on doors, make phone calls, send texts, anything. Let's do this. And all right, so that's that. Let's do, I think this one is a video as well of Kamala Harris from her speech. Different caption. All right, so there's that. This is the amount of people that was there. Over 75,000 Americans turned out for Kamala Harris. All right, so there's that. 12 seconds only.
Thank you, everyone. So listen.
All right. I haven't seen anything like this since 2008, Obama. Breaking, Kamala gives epic speech at enormous DC rally. All right, so that's a link here. 75,000 real people, unlike the Trump's rally. Our next president, there's that. All right, so there's all of this. All right, Donald Trump can even pull 50K, hide the SketchUp. All right, so let's go to the next one. You could read what's on the screen. This is a video as well with Tim Walz's wife. All right, let's pause. It's only 1 minute and 33 seconds. When Gwen Walz make a campaign stop at the Abbey Wheel. Okay, so there's that. 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Just a little bit longer, and then you can dance. It is crunch time. And I hope you've maybe heard Tim say this, but if not, he says it all the time. We'll sleep when we're dead. When we'll sleep when we're dead. Now I'm a little bit more moderate. I think we can take a nap, but not till after the election.
That was nice.
Because for us, for all of us, for everyone, a new way forward, it's within our reach.
That's right.
It's within our grasp, and we're going to have to fight for it.
100% right.
Harder than we've ever fought before, but we're ready. So we are taking our marching orders from the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris!
That was nice.
Thank you so much.
All right, so there's that. There's another. Okay, this tweet, I had it yesterday on my list. For some reason, I skipped it. It's when I was editing and I was putting time on the next to it, the timestamp, and I realized I didn't have it. All right, Sunny Reed Trumps for filth. The View, 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Has something to say about the island that I love. Where my family is from. Puerto Rico is trash. We are Americans, Donald Trump. Americans. We voluntarily serve disproportionately high in the military, while you have bone spurs.
Wow.
And we vote. Pennsylvania is home to almost 500,000 Puerto Ricans. North Carolina, 115,000. Georgia, 100,000. Arizona, 64,000. Wisconsin, 61,000. Michigan, 43,000. Nevada, 27,000. We vote Donald Trump. Trash? And by the way, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, Bad Bunny, Luis Fonsi, and Mark Anthony have over 345 million followers on Instagram. I think you only have 26 million. Since you care so much about size.
Wow.
And we don't like what was said about Puerto Rico. And we know how to take the trash out, Donald Trump. Trash that has been collecting since 2016. And that's you, Donald Trump.
Wow.
And finally, my fellow Puerto Ricans, Trash Collection Day is November 5th, 2024. Don't forget it.
I'm telling you, what they said at Madison Square Garden regarding that really pushed people to vote. The nonsense they keep on saying about every group on my last video that I just finished edit. And I point out other things that I've said in past videos. He was very systematic, very calculated on things that he was doing when he became president. I'm not saying every neighborhood, or I'm not rooting for gangs or anything like that. You know, anything that will hinder anybody, any groups or any neighborhood well-being, I'm not for it. But for him, the reason he went after gangs, I think MS-13 and El Chapo and all of that, was for his own benefit. Not for the people, even though it did make certain neighborhoods safe, which is good, but he did it for himself. Because if he had the second term, because I've had videos, I've shared videos where people who work for him at the White House, where he said, wait until his next term, that he could do whatever he wants.
I'm Miles Taylor. I served as the Chief of Staff of the Department of Homeland Security under the Donald Trump administration. I would go into the office, I would read my intelligence brief, and then it was my job to help the Department of Homeland Security to keep our country safe. What we saw week in and week out, and for me after 2.5 years in that administration, was terrifying. We would go in to try to talk to him about a pressing national security issue, cyber attack, terrorism threat. He wasn't interested in those things. To him, they weren't priorities. The president wanted to exploit the Department of Homeland Security for his own political purposes and to fuel his own agenda. The California wildfires. On a phone call with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, he told FEMA to cut off the money and to no longer give individual assistance to California. He told us to stop giving money to people whose houses had burned down from a wildfire because he was so rageful that people in the state of California didn't support him and that politically it wasn't a base for him. The policies at the border, he wanted to restart zero tolerance and separate families. He said he wanted to go further and have a deliberate policy of ripping children away from their parents to show those parents that they shouldn't come to the border in the first place. A lot of the time, the things he wanted to do not only were impossible, but in many cases illegal. He didn't want us to tell him it was illegal anymore because he knew that there were, and these were his words, he knew that he had magical authorities. He was one of the most unfocused and undisciplined senior executives I've ever encountered. I came away completely convinced based on firsthand experience that the president was ill-equipped and wouldn't become equipped to do his job effectively, and what's worse, was actively doing damage to our security. People who are still serving in this administration have said to me, just wait until the second term. It'll be no holds barred, it'll be shock and awe. We'll do what we want. Given what I've experienced in the administration, I have to support Joe Biden for president, and even though I'm not a Democrat, even though I disagree on key issues, I'm confident that Joe Biden will protect the country. And I'm confident he won't make the same mistakes as this president.
Okay, so in 2020, we put a halt to it. Native American, Hispanic, blacks put a halt to it. So now, majority of people who didn't see the nonsense are seeing it now. Because if we do give him another chance, whatever he said he was going to do or whatever he said he will be doing, if we give him that chance, he will do it. Okay, look how he didn't care about his own vice president. Okay, so like I said, he did he went out get those MS, the gangs, the El Chapo for his own doing. So that way, when his group of people want to create chaos, division, scare tactic, so they will not have any opposition. The men, the gangs will not be there to stop his gangs. Okay, so he did his thing. All right, let me read what's there and then go to the next one. My neighbors are Puerto Ricans and have Trump sign. This morning, I walked my dog past their home. Their Trump sign was in the trash. Like I said, I'm glad they say it, but not because I agree with it. People needed to see things. I don't know what other proof, what other sign they needed to see the truth. The guy is a rapist. He did all sort of things. He's been prosecuted. He says certain things. He said things about other groups. I don't know what he needed to be said so people could see. And I guess whatever he did at Madison Square Garden was what they needed to see. In a way, I'm glad they say it. That way those people could see for themselves and then do what needs to be done. Okay, that's right. Are you this upset when black comedian jokes about how white folks talks, dance, smell, season their foods, and drive? Or is it only bad when it comes to white people making racist jokes? Okay, in terms of the baths, I've heard about it, and I think I have one video over last election where people are saying they don't take showers, they don't soap their bodies, I don't know. It's pretty nasty. And let me not go into it. I don't say this enough, and it's wrong. You take time and thought to create content, and I absorb it to stay steady, yet I rarely say thank you. So let me take this time to let you know how much I appreciate you. No problem. Thank you for tweeting this. No problem. Okay? Finally, Sunny voiced her Puerto Rican heritage, which she never mentioned. She always Well, when there is a reason for saying it, then I don't know, have they ever attacked Puerto Ricans? I know she has spoken in defense of Haitian because I believe her husband is Haitian. Other groups she has spoken, but now they attack her group, so she has something to say. I could understand that. All right, so I have 3 more, and it's time for me to wake up my son.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life.